You're listening to Southeast Radio's Business Matters, with thanks to Wexford Insurances. Wexford Insurances. More information at wexfordinsurance.com.
I'm joined now by Tomas Young from Proserve Solutions. Good morning, Tomas, and thank you for joining me.
Good morning, Karl. It's a pleasure to be in.
What do Proserve Solutions do?
Proserve Solutions are a maintenance company that look after everything from electrical to mechanical in any given organisation, from retail to industrial companies.
And when was it set up?
It was set up in 2007 when I started up on my own as I took on a contract. I was working with a company. Contract came up. They weren't particularly interested in it. I done up the figures on it. It added up for me. So I took a go at it and the company started from there.
And what type of a contract was that, Tomas?
That contract was going in providing mechanical maintenance service to a company in Waterford where we had to do all aspects of maintenance. It was me on my own at the very start, but it gave me a great understanding of what a customer was looking for and what we had to deliver and what kind of service was required.
And as a start-up business back in 2007, did you tap into any of the governmental supports available to start-up businesses?
I suppose at the start, Karl, in any company can be very difficult. I suppose I at the start had a look at what was out there to help us. The County Enterprise Board were there and they helped us from the very start. Very, very, very helpful. We then moved on to other programmes which were running at the time. There was the SEEP programme in Waterford, which was very interesting. It gave me great background in all aspects of business. And also we would have got support from CBIC, a company in Waterford, who enabled us to set up a premises and give us a foundation to build a company.
For those out there today that may be listening that might be interested in starting their own business, could you give us some more detail in relation to those three agencies?
The County Enterprise Board are a locally based organisation. They're very helpful in terms of coming in, going through your business plan, helping you with particular aspects of the company where you may not feel you have enough knowledge. For me personally, technically, I had no problems whatsoever, very competent. But other aspects of the company, from filing VAT returns to understanding financial accounts, and even things like preparing market research and analysing if a market would work for you, or whether it would or wouldn't work. Some very, very great information came from doing a market research plan.
And did you tap into the Enterprise Board for any grant aid?
We did indeed, and they would have, I suppose, for want of a better word, held our hand the whole way through, put us through our paces, and if it stacked up financially, they would grant aid us and did grant aid us, and it was very much appreciated.
You also mentioned CBIC. Who are they?
CBIC is the South East Business Incubation Centre. They're based down in Waterford, but they're for the entire South East area. And they would provide accommodation in terms of giving you a premises to start up, a small start-up office area. They also have expertise in-house from financial to market research to IT to business planning. And they were very, very helpful. And at the start would have come up with many, many suggestions for us, which we would have implemented over the years, which were very, very beneficial.
And finally, in relation to those initiatives, you mentioned SEEP.
SEEP is the South East Enterprise Platform Programme, and it's run also down in Waterford in coordination with WIT. Numerous of these courses throughout Ireland, and the South East one is based in Waterford. This was a very intense, hands-on approach to getting a very, very detailed understanding of what's involved in running a small business, and not just running a small business, taking a small business from a small startup with a vision to maybe driving on and becoming a medium-sized enterprise, or maybe even into a large-scale enterprise, and giving you the skills and assets, I suppose, to help you and enable you to do that.
So you're in business 5 years this year. What are the main challenges that you faced in growing that business?
I suppose there's many challenges, Karl. Thankfully, they don't all come at once. But of course, the biggest challenge will be cash flow. Making sure that you have enough money to pay wages, to pay all the bills which come in. But on top of that, making sure you have some money left aside to enable you to look in different directions for the company. If that's maybe trying a different market or maybe trying a new member of staff, where there's not a 100% guarantee that it's going to work. You may do your market research, but there's always a level of doubt. So cash flow is of key importance to keeping a business going. Other things would be hiring the right people around you. Make sure you have good people around you, and don't be afraid to hire people who are better than yourself. And in doing so, you improve the overall value of a company.
You touched on two important parts there in growing any business. Firstly, in relation to cash flow, what have you done to overcome that challenge?
I suppose fundamentally, Karl, one of the best decisions which we would have taken was to put in place invoice discounting facility with the bank. And basically, if I can for a second, invoice discounting is a very simple facility which is available to most companies if they meet the criteria. And what it is, it works very simply. For instance, we had an issue with one of our main clients where they paid us at regular intervals, but this interval was a long time to wait in order to get our money in. So it meant we had a lot of sales completed. We had our invoices gone out. So what we needed to do was we needed to cash in on those invoices quicker than if the company was going to pay us. So what the invoice discounting facility enables you to do is to draw down a large portion of the value of that invoice. So if I invoice client A for €1,000, depending on the criteria and various other bits and pieces, I can draw down perhaps €800 instantly of that money.
And Tomas, has invoice discounting solved your financial cash flow crisis?
Will be a major contributor to sorting it.
You also touched on the fact that hiring the right people is key to the success and growing a successful company. What process have you in place for that?
Well, we value getting the right people on board very, very, very highly. You can always get the right person by chance, but that will only happen so often. I have very, very strict criteria with the guys that we now take on. We would run through behavioural analysis of the people. We would look at it from 3 different points of view. We would look at it from skills, which are a must. We would look at it from personality of the person. We'd also look at it from specific traits that person may have when it's relative to the role. And we would have a set criteria of traits and what kind of a personality somebody should have to best deliver our service to our clients.
So the traditional approach of hiring people by way of getting a CV and having 1 or 2 interviews with them, you've gone far beyond that.
Correct. And of course, you've got to be able to get on with somebody, and that comes from the personality side of things. You've got to like the person that works with you. Those are simple things, and the CV, of course, but you've got to take it further than that. It's too much of an investment when money is tight and you're handing over wages. You've got to be 100% certain and have clarity around the person that you hire, that they're going to suit the role that you've got. And it works both ways, because if you take on somebody that's right for your role, you will have a better relationship with that person and maybe a person with your company for many, many years to come.
Who typically are your clients?
Our clients are typically a mixed spread, I suppose, Karl. Retail industry, where we would have a major client, one of whom would be Lidl Ireland. We would have county councils on board as clients of ours, and we would also have clients in the healthcare sector. And we specifically look at 3 sectors because any given sector can get into difficulty. And by spreading the risks associated with business nowadays, that can enable you to balance out the good and the bad years that you'd have.
So you've taken the view that you need some public work as well as some private work. And then you've shared the option in relation to a range of different sectors that you source your work from.
Correct. And we're constantly reviewing that strategy. And that's not to say that sectors can come in and out of your business at any given time, but you've got to be willing and able to change and change fast if it suits, and not to keep flogging a dead horse, so to speak. If an industry is not working for you, put your hand up and say that's not working, change the resources, put them into another industry and see how that goes.
And how do you pick up your work?
I suppose many, many different ways, Karl. Networking would be of key importance. We would have picked up a large client of ours. We investigated how we were going to take in or get more businesses to know about Proserve Solutions. We got advice. Where could we get in front of more companies? We exhibited at a show in the RDS in Dublin, which would have been something totally alien to me, Karl, at the time, coming from a very technical background. We exhibited at the show in the RDS. It was a phenomenal experience in many, many different ways. But we got in front of key decision makers within companies that we needed to speak to. I could have sent in letters to these companies for the next 10 years and maybe got 5 or 6 meetings a year, pointless things. But by being at nationwide conferences for us, it put us on a totally different spectrum. We got instant respect and we got to speak to the people we needed to speak to on that day. It cost money, it was an investment, but it worked.
With the economic climate that we're in at the moment, where do you think we are in relation to the recession and coming back out of it?
I suppose, Karl, when I started out in business, I said I was going to worry about the things that I had control over. I wasn't going to get too concerned with the government up in Dublin, with European policies. I was going to look at what I had, the box I had to tick, the issues I had to solve. And there's only so many hours in the day, and I don't waste too many hours worrying about issues outside of my control.
What's your plan for Proserve Solutions for 2012?
The first thing, I suppose, Karl, is we've got to keep delivering to the people who are our customers at the minute. I think a common mistake is to try and grow your company and forget about the people you have. Our clients are our bread and butter that we have at the moment, and we will keep delivering the level of service to them that we have been doing at the moment, and even delivering an even better service to them. And if we can do this and also put energy into getting more clients similar to the ones that we have and giving them the same level of service, this takes care of how we're going to grow our company throughout the next 12 months and maybe even further than that. And how we're looking at doing that is we're looking at the services that we currently provide. Who else will they fit in with? Who else can benefit from the service that we give, that we will add value to their companies? And by doing so, we'll grow our own company in line with that.
Well, on that note, Tomas, thank you for joining me, and thank you for sharing your story with our listeners this morning.
You're listening to Southeast Radio's Business Matters, with thanks to Wexford Insurances. Wexford Insurances, #1 for business insurance in County Wexford.